You know, honestly, in this format right now, a 2020 on turn 1 or 2 sounds kind of fair. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Funk has asked us to play with a relatively different take on Mono Black Dark Depths combo. The core of the deck is relatively straightforward. Produce a 2020, and we can do this by copying our Dark Depths with Thespian stage, by removing all of the counters with Vampire Hexmage, or by doing the same thing with a Mutated Cultist. However, this one is an on-cast trigger and does not actually require the Mutated Cultist to resolve. The technology here is that this is more creature heavy than what we are normally seeing. So in addition to using Dark Ritual to fuel our combo cards, which is the primary intention of that card, we can just Dark Ritual into our own Goyf and start trying to spiral the game out of control in that capacity. And we do have a secondary card that has counters on it that we might want removed in the form of Overlord of the Balemurk. Now, this is something that I've tried in a Depths shell previously, and it was kind of cool to get this online quickly, because you can play this, remove the counters with Hexmage. Hexmage is in your graveyard. You can then return it with the Overlord, and you can end up then reusing that same Hexmage on a combo piece a couple of turns down the line. Now, when I played something resembling this deck previously, one of my complaints was, hey, I am really, really good if I get the Dark Depths because I have so many ways to interact with that, but I don't have that many ways to actually find the depths. Well, Funk was trying to go and solve that problem by playing a few copies of Expedition Map. So we will have Discard to protect our combo or disrupt opposing combo. We will have Not of This World as a counterspell for if we do get the Marit Lage into play. And so that we at least have the possibility of winning immediately, we have some copies of Rite of Consumption as well, which we can use to sacrifice our creature to deal 20 direct damage to our opponent. No combat step, no extra turn needed. Now, this was a relatively budget deck by Legacy standards. I think this comes in at a little under $700. And you could make that more by playing some things like Null Rods in the sideboard that might be expensive, but the sideboard covers stuff pretty well here. Disruptor Flute is your most generic answer to combo. We have a mix of Leylines and Fairies as graveyard disruption. We have our creature removal spell that can just kind of cover other bases if we need it to. And we have Baleful Mastery, a removal spell that I am not a very big fan of, but some people want to play it specifically because you can try to get an Oops All Spells opponent to draw a card and deck themselves. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and hop into a league here. Folks, if you need any cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. They're awesome. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. You always get free shipping. You can expedite that shipping if you really have a tournament and you need your cards immediately. But I really love the fact that you can order online and pick up on site at most major US events. All right, let's battle. All right, we're playing against Bryant, who will probably be on some Storm or Storm-adjacent deck. I have no lands here in this opening hand. Let me turn down that volume. There we go. Easy mulligan. The second hand has a Thoughtseize, but can't do anything afterwards unless I draw another land. I will go to 5. This doesn't do anything. I'm just going to be fully dead. A 2-drop is not functional here. I will go to 4. Very easily the best hand so far. Life's still very bad. Like, let's be clear here. This is still kind of a disaster. City of Traders, Grim Monolith. Storm adjacent deck, not actually Storm. Yes. Alright, Glaring Flushraker doing Glaring Flushraker things. Where are my Null Rods? Handle, sure. And he's just going to pass the turn there. I guess I will Thoughtseize here. Fuck. I'll take the One Ring, I guess. So this will be 2 mana. There's a Monolith off the top. And then it is going to be Mystic Forge time. 14. Exiling a card from the top. We're just kind of hoping that Bryant hits lands and fizzles out. There's an untap on City. Another Mystic Forge. Exiling yet another card. Well, there were lands on top. That's the good news. Bad news is kind of everything else that is going on here. So this Goyf isn't even going to be that good in the face of Glaring Fleshraker, because my opponent can just sacrifice spawns to not let me gain life, and they can just kill me with non-combat damage. There is a key. Exiling another card. Untapping a Forge. Exiling yet another card. Planar Nexus. So I can either kill an Eldrazi spawn or keep Fleshraker from attacking. Both options suck. I'm going to make it so these Mystic Forges can't exile the top cards of libraries. And then I think I have to hold back. I don't think I can take 2 points of damage here. Every single point of life is relevant right now. Now, as soon as I can play the second one, I can start attacking, and that's like fine. Monolith untapped, calling it a turn. Okay, so now I can go ahead and attack. So Bryant will now just sacrifice one of these. I don't gain the life, and I will throw down another one. Mana is absolutely not a bottleneck. I need Bryant to just keep hitting lands on the top of library. This hits target player. So I will send in with both of these. And we'll see the same trick once again, but this time I get to gain 4 life. And untapping a monolith is fine. 4 damage. Mill 4 cards. Another Goyf is fine. So I'll send in. Still very possible for me to lose this game. Bryant kind of fizzled. Still more land. So I think this is going to do it. So I'm going to gain 10 here, dealing 10 damage, putting Bryant to 1. You can see more of my cards. I think it's very clear what I'm doing. Get a Hexmage on the second one. Choose your face. And sacrifice one of these delightful fellows. We won! I'm happy about that. But I don't know that I feel good about the matchup. This pile o Damping Spheres is my path forward. Damping Spheres and Pithing Needles, and hopefully things work themselves out. The Knot of This Worlds are an easy cut. We'll probably trim a Night's Whisper, and I guess we'll call that good. I have, like, more removal technically. Answering Fleshraker is important. I have, what, Murderous Rider to do that? Alright. Let's worry a little less about the card advantage and a little more about not dying. This does not have any usable mana. Also, didn't I win on like a mulligan to 4? I think I did. This seems fine. I will get rid of 1 Urborg here. Lotus Petal. Monolith. Nice. I get 2 Thoughtseize, a big dumb card. Ooh. Hello. Thoughtseize. Target you. Oh no, there's 2 big dumb cards. Hate that. I'll take a Karn. My opponent will cast a Karn. I Mutated Cultist the other away at some point. Kozilek's Command also just is going to eat my 20/20. Yeah, eat the Kozilek's Command. And sometimes I draw a Pithing Needle for Karn. There's Saga. Ooh. That's a very good top deck. Because now he gets to untap Grim Monolith and play Karn as well. Seems good. Let's see what Karn tutors. Paradox Engine. Well, I will play Dark Depths. I will Thoughtseize the Paradox Engine. Where's the Saga to 2? Planar Nexus. Seems very good. This is just Lattice, right? It has to be the Planar Nexus too, right? No, a regular land will do it. 3, 4, 5, 6. A regular land does it. Yep, seems good. We can concede here. I can't use my mana to cast spells anymore. It just physically does not work. So I will concede. Yeah, my turn 3 2020 with double Thoughtseize. Lost on turn 3. I could Baleful Mastery. This deck now has enough Planeswalkers that might be worth thinking about. Giving that deck a card is so fucking scary. Like, sometimes it's mana, but then there's like 20 threats. Maybe I just need it. I don't know. I feel like, in theory, I should be at least somewhat covered. I had a Damping Sphere? Was it not 4 Disruptor Flutes? Oh shit, that was 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Disruptor Flutes. Whoops. I still think I'm fine with it. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and try to hit. There are now a ton of targets here, but I think that my mana is probably spoken for the next few turns. Grim Monolith, Tezzeret Cruel Captain, which gets to immediately untap the Monolith. That is a Basalt Monolith instead. Mutated Cultist can answer this in a second. I'm going to go ahead and do this and hope that I draw a land naturally. Expedition map is currently like 2 turns worth of mana. I don't think I can use it immediately. There's an Urza Saga. Tutoring. Or a Manifold Key. Tapping. Ooh. We're just doing another Tezzeret. There's a Manifold Key. Untapping a Grim Monolith. And that's the turn. Am I going to Baleful Mastery Tezzeret? Doesn't feel good, but I think it's what I'm doing. Get out of here. I had much cleaner answers to this if I hit another land drop naturally. Planar Nexus. Lotus Petal. Mana is not the bottleneck. For my opponent, it is for me. I'll probably Disruptor Flute the Urza Saga at end of turn. Seems pretty easy for me to beat an artifact. The second one is getting a little harder. This is just a large body. An untapping, sure. Loading mana for Saga. Getting another key. Now, in case it comes up, this can make that token unblockable. So the Death Toucher side here, very much not guaranteed to be a win. That is a Kozilek's command for X equals 6. I'm going to assume that this results in me dying. An untap on Monolith, so plays are happening. And yet again, there is now a Mystic Forge in play. Dampening Sphere is going to keep that from being the absolute worst thing that could happen. But this is not great. The long term, I have Expedition Map for Dark Depths, play Mutated Cultist. I need to not die to this. If I use this turn to Dark Depths, I take 6-ish damage. I could then do this the following turn, and then potentially just die to this being made unblockable. I'm going to assume that this grows a little bit. So I think my turn has to just be Swift End. And I guess I will just do it now. There was another card left on top previously. So I imagine there is now at least one business card over there. Portable Hole. Seems good. Mystic Forge can now potentially pop off. Untap. There's Tezzeret. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could have just gone for it. If I tutor up Dark Depths, I put Dark Depths in play. On my next turn, I cast Mutated Cultist. Rite of Consumption is 1 less. I would need to spike another land off the top. I don't have an Urborg right now. No, I think my line was right. There's a Karn. Expedition Map is off the table. My opponent can just Lattice now. Oh, there's also a Glaring Fleshraker involved. Yeah, there's the Lattice. We're good. We'll move on. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Profield if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Alright, my opening hand doesn't do anything. Mutated Cultist doesn't have anything cool to do. Not of this World doesn't protect anything. I will just go ahead and mulligan this one. This is a fine, slower hand. I think I'm going to keep it and maybe get rid of either the land or the Night's Whisper. I think with Overlord I want land drop 3 here. Oh, we're going to be playing against Dredge. Knowing that, this fair-looking hand is not overly exciting. Scalding Tarn, LED. See what happens. Careful Study. Those cards aren't the best. Is there even anything I can name here? You can't effectively name the Pithing Needle with LED. Sorry, other way around. An LED with Pithing Needle. It and Phyrexian Revoker are different. There's an unless they're mana abilities thing here. Cephalid Coliseum, I guess? Guess that's the way we do this. That's pretty low impact. It's not on yet, but maybe it matters later in the game. Alright, there's now a troll in the graveyard. And it's bad. Narcomoeba coming in. Faithless Looting in graveyard, so Lion's Eye Diamond gets to go wild. Do I concede here? So how bad is this? So this is Crack LED for Ox or Faithless Looting, probably Ox. And that is dredging 3 Grave Trolls. I'm going to imagine that I die. I am just going to concede. All right, Leyline in, Fairy in, a Disruptor Flute. I don't need a Not of This World. Pithing Needles are pretty unimpressive. I might end up keeping some. Alpha Mastery is not exactly great. Damping Sphere has text, technically, but I think my opponent would be fine if I slow down the pace of the game. Is there anything from here that has to go? I really don't love Knight's Whisper. Maybe it's looks for Fairy. I could keep more Pithing Needles and get rid of some Goyfs or some Knight's Whispers or some Rites or something. So this has a Fairy Macabre. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this and hope that this gets me to something that produces a 20/20 on turn 3. Because this can hit a Hexmage or a Mutated Cultist. Well, let's see what my opponent has cooking. LED. There's the Faithless Looting. I'm going to take out 2 Golgari Grave Trolls in response. So this is just an actual factual draw 2, discard 2, and my opponent will get to flash it back, though. There is a Dredger in the graveyard. This is, like, fine, right? Dark Ritual, impending this Overlord. Say yes. Pick up Fairy Macabre. Dark Depths, Knight's Whisper, draw 2 cards. Cool. You're going to get rid of Stinkweed Imp and Faithless Looting. Seems good. Okay, and it was important that we got rid of the Faithless Looting. Well, 1 and 2. There's Vampire Hexmage. Pass turn. Alright, game's over on turn 3. Fairy Macabre twice. Pretty darn good there. The interaction of the creatures that intentionally go to graveyard, like Vampire Hexmage and Fairy Macabre with Overlord, is pretty favorable for me. So kind of a neat thing that might happen here is that now my opponent might not think that I have Leylines, and I have a chance to open up on that this game. The fact that I have Leyline and Fairy at the same time is very, very beneficial for me going into this specific game 3. Okay, this opening hand doesn't have anything going for it. This is an easy mulligan. I don't think this is good enough either, especially considering that I have Leyline hands to hit. I will ship this and go to 5. There is a Leyline of the Void. Now, this is not great. I think I'm going to keep this and hope that I hit a black land. You're going to go back, and you're so replaceable. I think you go back. And the hope is that this Leyline hard carries the game, because my hand is bad. Alright, I have something to name. Another LED. That's kind of a land. Yeah? Name Cephalid Coliseum. Pass a turn. There's Otherworldly Gaze. This does not replace itself, this does just surveil. Top. What the fuck? Let's talk about this. Hold on. Volcanic Island. Alright, I did not hit my land drop that I'm looking for. Missing it once isn't that bad. Missing it the second time feels kind of disastrous. We may just be in full-on I hardcast Stinkweed Imp territory. That is in fact where we are at. So the top there was probably just land. That is not a castable spell. Had to step away for 1 second. 20 turn clock. That's another dead to draw for me. I'll pass the turn here. Faithless Looting. Those cards are not doing an awful lot of good. Take 1. Well, that's fine if something happens to the Leyline. Again, I am not super expecting that. 17. That is a 3/1 Poxwalkers. Clock is a little more real now, but I am officially playing Magic. I think I just try to hit. Well, this actually just gives me my next land drop. I'll just Expedition Map for it and guarantee it rather than take some extra damage. So I will take 4. I'm at 13. That is an Unmask targeting me. I don't have the mana to cast this one yet. The Murderous Rider is pretty good. The Vampire Hexmage is pretty good. Overlord gets them all back. Hexmage is the one that goes away. That's a first striker for this. And a Golgari Thug. Sure. I'm just going to search up an Urborg here. A Rite of Consumption. I think I'm just going to play this as Murderous Rider, honestly. I am not worried about dying to Stinkweed Imp if I have a Fairy Macabre that can block it. Bridge from Below. Cast. I respect it. Opponent has given us the GGs. So exactly what I talked about happened, where I showed my opponent Fairy in game 2, and then Leyline got them in game 3. There were 3 creatures in play, like my life total was in real danger, but like it's turn 8, I missed on land for, I don't know, 5 or 6 turns, something like that, and this just wasn't enough of a threat on its own. For what it's worth, my opponent has been doing pretty well in Legacy. I think they won a recent Legacy challenge. GG's. My opponent has mulliganed to 5. Am I going to die on turn 1 to oops all spells? We'll find out. Basic Mountain. Don't mind that. This is going to self-scale. It is not going to be impressive immediately. Now it is a 2/3. I'm going to cast this in hopes that I'm using my mana in future turns. The One Ring, Broadside. I could name something from Painter instead. I'm going to go Broadside. That card is really annoying. It is Karn the Great Creator instead. Getting Ensnaring Bridge. We have ways. This is combat damage to a player, which is sort of awkward here. I have Karn so very answered in a minute. Let's get saucy. Do I get saucy? I might need this to actually win the game. I could use it to answer the Karn. I'll just attack the Karn, and then I'll pass. City of Traders is going away. There is the Ensnaring Bridge, 3 cards in hand. My opponent added land to graveyard. Well, I'll go to combat. Yeah, thought that might happen. Now this doesn't get to attack, but that's not actually that big of a deal. I think I Vampire Hexmage it. Goodbye, Karn. And then I save Murderous Rider for some sort of Painter nonsense, which is what I am leaning towards my opponent is, actually. Do I want to destroy that? Nah, my opponent can get exactly 1 token with it. That's fine. Do I have any way to take the bridge out of play? No. At least not in game 1. Or you don't answer artifacts, you are enchantments. I will throw down another one of these. Like, I don't think I am getting enough chip damage in with 2 power creatures here that I can realistically plan to win the game like that. Let's do a Thespian stage. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this into play. Then sometimes it's cleaner to do some Rite of Consumption lines. Looting Bolt. Alright, there is Painter. Haha, there's Goblin Engineer. Don't love that. And there's Grindstone. So I get 1 removal spell, and it probably needs to happen right now. This will buy me some time, hopefully. There's still obviously very bad stuff going on, right? Like my opponent has multiple copies of Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Any top-decked relevant creature is very scary. Seems like I have dodged for now. My opponent can make a whole bunch of copies of this, by the way. We can make a whole bunch of copies of Vampire Hexmage. That doesn't do me a lot of good. I will, I guess, just put another lifelinker into play. Yeah. So now my opponent is going to use the copy to make a copy, to make a copy, to make a copy, to make a copy. They're not attacking with those, but they have them. There's probably only 1 or 2 copies of Grindstone in the deck, so I don't really need to worry about my opponent top decking a Grindstone and just killing me. It's more likely that they find an engineer or a welder and they end up bringing it back. I don't want to play Urborg, I don't think. I don't want my opponent to be able to use Ancient Tomb. Yeah. This is going to happen a few times. Ooh, we're going to make a Shaman. No more other Shaman. It is Punchy O'Clock. So my opponent can get mana this way, but I can gain a bunch of life. If my opponent has a Fury, my stuff is getting obliterated anyway. They can copy that Fury so many times. I guess I could have gained 2 more life by also blocking with this, though. Fuck. Yep. So, welcome to things that are not fun for Phil. Whenever this creature enters or dies, for each opponent, choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy one of them at random. So I'm going to lose every single one of my permanents other than my lands here. Okay, my opponent is not using their last treasure immediately, but the dies triggers after sacrifice is bad. All right, Night's Whisper. Let's fucking go. Overlord. Okay. Guess I am pending that. So none of this stuff super matters in the face of Chaos Defiler. None of these have an ETB trigger. I think I'm just going to get another Vampire Hexmage here. I'm going to go ahead and play one of those, and if things get weird, I can do this. It can't attack this turn. It doesn't have haste or anything. But maybe there's some specific timeline. Is this a choose? Yeah, so my opponent can destroy this. It's not like I can respond. I can't have my cake and eat it too here. Maybe I leave this in play and maybe I get to attack with it next turn. I don't think that's super likely. Okay. Overlord gone. The good news is the Overlords aren't attacking. The bad news is everything else about this situation. So goodbye. It goes to the bottom of my library, right? All right, you can keep getting rid of my permanents. Yeah, bottom of its owner's library. I will take a little bit of damage in combat. Opponent has a lot of life to work through. Goodbye, Noble Pithing Needle. Where is my Dark Depths? I don't even know if I cast this right now. It might be better right before a combo turn to check for some sort of Pyroblast style interaction. I'm at 19. So a Pithing Needle, Reflection of Kiki Jiki, and the Chaos Defiler ends up destroying it. Maybe my opponent doesn't respond. They 100% should respond. Like, this is so free. They figured it out. And then I'll just pass here. I am 26 cards deep, and I have not found a Dark Depths or a tutor for one. My opponent can make a couple of these friends. Quite a few, actually. All right, there's an army of those. I didn't do the math on it, but I suspect that I am dead or close to it. Bunch of triggers on attack. I am at -6, so even if I play out a couple of Vampire Hexmages, that does not change things. That one I consider an unfortunate loss. GG. So I want to be able to interact with my opponent's permanents and creatures, and we can consider some of the stuff that looks like this that is not super exciting. Not of This World is going to go. I think Thoughtseize is going to go. I think I would rather deal with stuff when it is in play. And then I'm looking at Baleful Mastery or Fairy Macabre, Leyline. Probably not Leyline. I think it's the worst of those. I guess Baleful Mastery. I really don't like that versus the creatures of my opponent's deck. Sometimes I might need that for Karn. So I go land, Dark Ritual, Overlord. I then can't cast whatever I get off of the Overlord. I don't like this. Baleful Mastery in that hand doesn't feel good. Double Urborg. Yikes. 5. On 5, I'm keeping. Get rid of you and you. Urborg pass turn. Opponent's got a basic land and Goblin Welder. Sure. I can Impending 2 of these immediately. I don't think I am going to do that. Next turn, I can just hard cast one. Oh, that's 2 Dark Depths milled. That's rough. I also missed on the Overlord trigger. So, like, not the biggest fan of that. So that is Chaos Defiler immediately, which is not great. So my opponent can sacrifice an artifact to return Mox Opal. Chaos Defiler comes out of play, takes out my Pithing Needle that I put on Goblin Welder. And if I put it on Engineer, then my opponent just welds these out. So this doesn't actually solve my problems. The Overlord doesn't either. Hardcast Overlord anyway. So I guess we will Impending this and try to make something better of this situation. Vampire Hexmage. Goyf is also This just eats me alive until I find a removal spell for it. Pithing Needle isn't good enough. Like Hexmage. Yeah, so I think I need to draw a removal spell, kill one of these, and then Pithing Needle the other. I'm going to take 5 damage every turn. Ancient Tomb. Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, it begins. Yep. My opponent gets their Opal back, and then they can turn that into Chaos Defiler immediately. This'll work, though. Double Pithing Needle works. I will cast Pithing Needle. My opponent flip-flops these. This is in play. My opponent can attack with their creatures. I will shut off Goblin Welder. I will then Pithing Needle, Goblin Engineer as well. So now I need to not die to this. I am taking 7. I'm not taking 7 per turn. Why am I not taking 7? There's a little life. Is an untimely malfunction indeed. So my opponent turns on one of those, which gets the bridge back, and now they can weld the Chaos Defiler in at will. Alright, Dark Depths. Where the fuck you at? Yep, that seems good. Need to Hexmage Depths. I will Impending this. I have a 2 in 43 chance of drawing a Dark Depths, by the way. Alright, opponent's just going to eat this with the trigger on the stack. Mutated Cultist doesn't do anything cool. Goyf doesn't do anything cool. Guess I'll pick up the Lifelinker. Is this worth my Dark Ritual? Let's say yes. Maybe I save 5 life in a combat step here and get myself another draw. Sure. Spirit Guide's fine. Wanna just go in Hellbent? Sure. Dark Depths. 2 in 39 chance. That do anything? My opponent has 5, pretty much lethal. I can cast this, blow up a 2/2 or something. Take 5, 6, 7, and 8, go to 2. Even if I draw Dark Depths, die the following turn. So I guess I am just going to cast... I guess I hold this, and I use it to fog the attack with the 5 power body. Yes. I will go ahead and end that Chaos Defiler. Opponent says, you're supposed to hit Welder. I just get it back later. Opponent, you're totally fucking missing what I'm doing. Don't give me advice if your advice is wrong. Ah! Alright, Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. That's fine. Expedition map, get Dark Depths, and then not have mana to play Hexmage. Needed that ritual. Yeah, but if I answer the Goblin Welder, I take 5 more damage and am dead immediately. GG's. Alright, this is a turn 2 2020 if things go my way. Opponent has some kind words. They're new to Legacy. See how you do, Sir Alex. Delta fetches. Basic Island and Ponder. And they keep their cards. I'm here to jam. If this gets countered, I just have Goyf next turn. And if it doesn't get countered, cool. I think to play around Wasteland, I am going to do this right now. So there are things that punish you for waiting and things that punish you for going. The biggest punish for going is probably Prismatic Ending. But we are not punished. We get the combo draw this time. So my opponent is just on Basic Island Ponder. No other information here. I'm probably not going to sideboard too much. Some of this sort of stuff is maybe a little dubious without knowing what my opponent is doing. Opponent could be Show and Tell. They could still be any number of Dimir Tempo, Dimir Reanimator decks. Could be a slower control deck. So I might just do something that looks like this. This is a 2/2 flying attacker that I can get back with Overlord. That if my opponent happens to be Reanimator, I'll be very glad that I have. I'm gonna call that good enough. I'll keep 1 Pithing Needle to just have access to that effect in case there's some weird Planeswalker that I need to answer. My opening hand here has lots of card advantage, but it can't actually cast that card advantage. This is fine. Murderous Rider is probably the odd man out in a vacuum. That is another Polluted Delta, this time for Underground Sea and a Tamiyo. Vampire Hexmage is removal for a flipped Tamiyo, although honestly I am hoping to use it as a combo piece with this here Dark Depths. But if my opponent brainstorms and flips Tamiyo immediately, then maybe I have to stop Tamiyo. Okay, there is Wasteland. Got a right. I wish I had a land to bait my opponent with. I don't. I think I am into this. We're in play. Mutated Cultist is a cast trigger. I'm in. So now I am threatening to have an Overlord that's good to go, or something that just nukes a Tamiyo on cast. And that's why I didn't play Night's Whisper. 19. So my scales are leaning slightly more towards this being tempo and not reanimator. Cameo gets another clue. I'm at 17. Ooh, more Mutated Cultist. Well, cast, trigger, do that on Overlord. Got Consign. Consign would be sweet. It is Consign. So the replicate here means that my opponent can counter both the Mutated Cultist body and the trigger. I will try again next turn. Overlord ticks down. I'm going to take 2 more, going to 15. Cameo transforms, which is not all that scary because I just make an Overlord and whack Cameo. Cameo will be at 4. I will have 4 power after the Cameo Plus reduction. Cool, cool. And no Consign this time. So, bam. Mutated Cultist on Overlord, removing 3 counters. This is going to be important in a minute. Send at Cameo. Triggers. So again, 4 power here. Yes. Ooh. Goyf? We're playing fair. At least I hope we're playing fair. So the usually flavor text of this is the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less for each counter removed this way. So this is now a 1 mana Goyf. That one gets forced. And this is why we did Cultist and not Vampire Hexmage. Super, super meaningful difference there. So 2 black lands are in play. No attacks from my opponent. That's great for me. Ooh. Yes. What's going on over there? Fatal Push is not online. I don't care about Consign all that much. I'll take your Goyf. Send them. So say yes. Am I fine to just continue picking up Goyfs? I think so. Opponent's just going to take all of that. Going to 12. I am fine just playing this into the removal spell that I know is there. So now my opponent can crack a clue and then Fatal Push this. And that's just like perfectly fine. And then at some point, I'm hoping that they drop the Wasteland so that I can just fish up Dark Depths and do the Vampire Hexmage thing. Both? Yeah, that makes more sense. I will take 1. Oh, it's Kaito. I don't actually like super care about Kaito. One's doing a good job of leaving up their Wasteland. It was a real choice this turn, though. So now my Overlord gets stunned. Multiple rites of consumption. Not exactly what I'm looking for. But now I have a window to play Night's Whisper, where Bowmaster isn't in play. That seems fine. Those cards aren't great. I will play Vampire Hexmage. It was probably correct to do this prior to Night's Whisper for days reasons. So let's go ahead and remove all of those counters from Kaito. And I might just hold this back now. I don't know that I want to take 1 damage back here. This is hard for my opponent to permanently answer. Alright, there is the confirmation. 100% sure that my opponent is Reanimator. Is not Reanimator. I had already suspected as much when the Kaito hit play. But that is just like the 100%, like, for sure. Trade with Consign? Yeah? No, not trading with Consign. I'm going to fetch then. We're going to preemptively get 1 Dark Depths, I think. I'm going to put that in play and threaten my opponent with it. And I am holding here. I am looking to prolong this game at this point. Whereas my opponent wants to end this in the next turn or 2. And this does have Death Touch for the Nethergoyf. Margins on this one are going to be really tight. So I'm going to be at 7. My opponent has a 2-2. And they might just be sending everybody sideways. Dead to a Fatal Push. Cracking a clue. There's another Wasteland. That probably means that they can just eat this Dark Depths now. Everybody is coming to party. I think I am doing short-term gains here. Trading with another Goyf. Opponent is passing. So I can just get a Goyf on this attack. Send it. Is Consign happening? Consign is happening. So I'll hit my opponent down to 6. I think I just want an extra mana here. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I might get Wastelanded right here. I don't. Okay, cool. So I can play my spell around Daze. Just going to pick up Urborg. So play Urborg. And then we are just going 1, 2, and 3 for Fairy Macabre. I don't think I Thoughtseize. Alright, fantastic. So now next turn, goal is to get opponent into range of a Rite of Consumption kill. My opponent gets to crack another clue here. They have a Nethergoyf in graveyard that they can escape. Everybody's coming to party. I'm going to do the thing that most aggressively protects my life total in the current turn. Alright, it looks like damage is going through. There's not another Kaito. Oh, it's big. Alright. Well. I play Goyf and I Rite of Consumption Goyf. I have enough mana to Thoughtseize first. I have enough mana to Thoughtseize first. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. I have 6, exactly. Oh, fuck. This represents Orcish Bowmasters because of my Urborg. Boy, that would be an embarrassing way to lose. Alright. Cast Goyf. Here we go. Rite of Consumption. Target you. Sacrificing Goyf. This is lethal. Is it Force of Will plus days? Or sorry, Force of Will plus blue card. Oh, it's not. So we win the match there. So, sort of interesting, and for future Alex, when you watch this video, if you had, or let's keep this third person, if my opponent had attacked my Urborg and Dark Depths with their Wastelands, I might not have enough mana to execute my kill that turn. I understand wanting to sit on the Wastelands to prevent the combo kill from happening, but there is still, like, the mana squeeze. And from my side of the battlefield, I had a bunch of cards in hand that I wasn't doing something with. So I either have things that need to be cast in conjunction with something else, or I have things that are currently not good that maybe will become good later when Bowmaster is gone. So it might be fine to use, especially once you have the second Wasteland, it might be fine to use one of those on a Dark Depths to try to keep, like, this sort of thing from happening. Opponent says, GG's, thanks for the games. Yeah, GG's. Alright, final round. This is the one that determines whether or not we break even or pull ahead for the league overall. We Thoughtseize is yet another combo deck. What is this? Is this the Pox thing? Yeah, so put a hatchling counter on the land. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, for each counter on it, create a 1/1 insect token. And I have Ghost Quarters to take it out. Okay. Ghost Quarter means that there's probably Wasteland too. We're in the Pox general ballpark. So this gets back a land. The Thoughtseize could get back whatever I take with, or whatever I get with Overlord. I'm going to take their Thoughtseizes and do this immediately, and then hope to get something that combos with it, which I did. There's Mutated Cultist. It is unclear whether or not taking the counters off of this immediately on turn 3 is better than just slamming this. I think this is better. I really wanted Vampire Hexmage to do this on turn 2, but c'est la vie. Opponent might be fighting the good fight on Loam Pox over there. Guarding Ghost Quarter, and just doing the Witherbloom command with Drain as the other mode. Returning Ghost Quarter, and they are indeed a small Pox deck. So yeah, I'm gonna try to hit this next land drop here with Night's Whisper. And I do. Fantastic. Urza Saga and Grist. Yeah, not bad. Ooh, that's spicy for a little bit later. So there's Urborg. I think I'm in a Mutated Cultist, and I think I actually just take out the Grist first. I've got a Death Toucher for the Urza Saga token that my opponent makes. Like, I have this coming in a couple of turns anyway. This is fine. I also have another Mutated Cultist for if I need to take out this land or an Urza Saga or whatever. Well, yeah. Are we just getting in? Seems fine. So yeah, trigger. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this here. I think I am fine sending in both. Yes. Is Hexmage good for any reason? I'll take the Goyf. Opponent's going to absorb 5. That's a-okay with me. Opponent's going to fetch and then make a construct token. Oh, they're going to surveil. I guess they're going to lose another life here then. Or I guess Urborg is in play. They're choosing to lose another life, though. Saga makes another friend. These are now 4/4s. Spellbomb. Ooh, these are 5/5s. We might get into some interesting priority pass situations here. Oh shit, you're attacking? Fuck yeah. This has Death Touch. All day. All fucking day. Yes. This is now a 4/4. You can Fatal Push the other one if you want. Smallpox is fine. My Thoughtseize is my worst card here. I will sacrifice a Mutated Cultist. You're losing a Construct token. I just get Overlord triggers right back again. You go? I think you go. My opponent can sacrifice this and get some little friends. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Her board came back. Nice. My opponent will chump. I'll say yes. I think I'm going to pick up a Vampire Hexmage here in case I get Wastelanded or equivalent. Opponent is at 10. Sorcery, instant, land, creature, planeswalker, enchantment. Yeah, this thing is still huge, even if my opponent spellbombs me. I think I am okay with this. Alright, there is the concession. The Smallpox with, what is it, Eumedion? With Eumedion Hatchery is notably neat. Like, that is cool. People want to put together a list. Donation deckless queue is always open for nonsense like that. I will burn some play points for you. And I will have fun doing it. Not of this world can probably go. My Thoughtseizes can probably go. My opponent is often going to go Hellbent. My Pithing Needles are fine. I can put those on Wastelands and Ghost Quarters and Grist. I will maybe go up on Pithing Needle effects and maybe do some of these in respect of Urza Saga specifically. I do 4 Thoughtseize out and bring 3 Feed the Swarm in. This is still 58. I could play 2 Baleful Mastery to fill. I could play 2 Fairy Macabre to fill, anticipating something like Life from the Loam. Or I could play something like 2x Leyline of the Void, and if I open up on it, I open up on it, and if I don't, it's whatever. What about Rite? Do I actually need Rite? Rite is going to rot in my hand a lot of the time. What if those become Leylines, and I play a Fairy? That seems fine. And if I draw a Leyline of the Void in the middle of the match, like, whatever. This has Stage and Depths and no other mana to speak of. So I can play Stage on one, play Pithing Needle on Wasteland, and then have no castable cards in my hand. I think I can play something more consistent than that. If anything, I would like to keep a hand that has more than enough mana deck. And it took me seriously on that. Okay. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to get rid of an Urborg. And I'm going to just get rid of the Dark Ritual. It does mean that I don't get to do the, like, absolute high roll of draw Dark Depths and then on turn 2 create my 20/20. But that's not hyper consistent anyway. So I think I'm fine with that. The Surveil card went on top previously. There's an Urza Saga. There's a Pithing Needle. On Vampire Hexmage, well, I sure do have a 2/1 First Striker. Good card, obviously. There's a Hatchery. Night's Whisper. Alright, where do we fall on removing all of the counters from these now in the post-rules change world? Alright, I think it doesn't get immediately sacrificed. So let's Night's Whisper. A Pithing Needle. And the game begins. All Pithing Needle. My opponent will make a thing in response. It's just a 2/2 for right now. I will name Urza Saga. This is going to be a 3/3 in a second, so this does get to attack me. So I am fine just going ahead and attacking in. And then I will be able to play a Mutated Cultist. I'll rip some counters off of this and then have Death Touching Bodies for this. The Mox Diamond. Is it Loam? It is Loam. So there's Wasteland Loam and Saga Loam available. And Grist. Seems good. My opponent's in a great position. I'll take 3. I'm at 15. Don't have enough mana for Leyline of the Void yet. So yeah. Kill the Grist. Go to Punchies. Punchies. So my opponent has Urza Saga Life from the Loam. I currently have that shut off. My opponent's deck almost certainly has a couple copies of Boseiju in it, though, so I am not expecting this to be something that is good long-term. Pick your poison. Well, I was right. It was not good long term. I will trade bodies here. It doesn't feel great. And there's more. Are you just wastelanding? You're just wastelanding. You've got it. Oh? Are you fucking hogacking me right now? This is fucking sweet. I am not even mad. Lose 7. I guess with my Death Toucher I lose less than 7, right? Cultist. I'll rip the counter off the Urza Saga. But it doesn't get sacrificed. It does keep it from making some constructs in the short term. The life from the loam is going to fuel the graveyard and make it so that the Hogak is easy to cast again. Leyline of the Void really needed to come down, apparently. Opponent's at 12. A bunch of those are flyers. I will trade with the Hogak body, take 4 in the air, and then a bunch from the trample. Then loam happens. Needle is on Hexmage. I can play this, get depths, take 4 in the air, and probably die my opponent going wide of a Marit Lage. I think that is what's happening. My opponent will have an Urza Saga token. I will be at 4. Guess I can play it out and see if something goes better than I think it will. Can't play that out because of the wasteland. Ugh. Not that the Mutated Cultist thing is going to do anything, right, in the face of the wasteland. One's got endurance, too. More flash creatures here. I mean, honestly, there's more creatures here than I was expecting. I just saw ox stuff in game 1. Yeah, opponent said should have left 1 insect behind for Hogak. Yep. Hogak cometh, though. So that 8/8 Trampler is a thing. I'm at 5 instead. Okay. So there's not a wasteland in play. These are gonna block me. If I make it another turn. I'm dead to a bunch of stuff. But damn it, I am going to at least attempt to do the thing. 2020. 3 bodies to block. I can't shift into the role of the aggressor. And I don't know what sort of crazy things could be coming from the Urza Saga tutor package here. Just Mox Diamond. Gunking the Hatchery. There's a wasteland. I think my opponent doesn't need to attack this turn if it's not lethal. I think they just wait 1 turn. And it's probably lethal the next turn. Right, like the extra construct token body is the deal breaker. Okay, we're going in. So I go block and block, take 2. This is awkward for me, isn't it? So, ooh, that's yet another body. I think my opponent goes wide of me, and they don't have Rite of Consumption in the deck right now. I think that's in my sideboard. Oh, we're Hogacking too. Okay. 0/1. The endurance was relevant. Oh, but they hold on. I get this. I feed the swarm this token and attack. They tapped the second body. Yeah. On insect token. Getcha. And we 2-0 that one. I don't know that I should have won that one. I feel like my opponent plays that one 5% differently, and I think it's pretty hard for me to win, but we'll take it. Alright, Funk. I'd say your deck did pretty well today. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not bad. I will say, in the entire league, I did not cast a single copy of Not of This World, and I think that tends to be the case a lot of times with these decks. It is hard to line that up appropriately, and a lot of the removal of the format right now does not actually answer Marit Lage anyway. There are some things like Brazen Borrower that this does protect from, and like Swords of Plowshares and Leyline Bindings. Like there definitely are things where this matters, but I think this deck's approach to Marit Lage getting answered is, oh well, now I'm a mid-range deck. I wonder if you can just play 3 Duresses or 3 Inquisition of Kozileks or more main deck removal or main deck Bowmasters or something like that, and that ends up being just like significantly better than Not of This World in game 1 scenarios. And then maybe if you main deck some removal or some graveyard hate or something, you can keep the Not of This World in the sideboard if you feel like you need them. When I recorded the introduction for this video, I absolutely thought that there were 4 Disruptor Flutes. My brain saw 2 mana artifact starts with D, is 2 words long, and went, oh, we have 4 Disruptor Flutes. I would not mind having 4 Disruptor Flutes. I would not mind having 8 Pithing Needle effects in this deck. We don't get to be a Consigned to Memory deck versus the colorless Carnforge style decks. Maybe we need Null Rod. Maybe Damping Sphere is Null Rod if you're not trying to come in under budget. I liked having the mix of Fairy and Leyline. It felt pretty darn good in this deck specifically and gave us some legs versus Dredge. This was a pretty intricate league. I enjoyed this a lot. I'm going to give this one a thumbs up. I think there's still some tweaking you can do. A bunch of our cards randomly hitting Planeswalkers like Murderous Rider and Baleful Mastery was relevant today. Those cards aren't terribly efficient or good at what they do, but it might just be fine. Mutated Cultist in a world of Tamios is like totally good. Tamio is so scary, and to have the ability to answer that on a cast trigger and your spell doesn't need to resolve is pretty cool. So we'll call it a dark horse pick. Good job, Funk. I think you put together a good deck. And I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day there. If you have any thoughts about kind of finessing the deck further, throw them down in the comments below. Alrighty. See ya.